don't get the analytics.
So you know what they used to always say to me? Why don't you smile more? Why don't you laugh more? And I said, you know what I laugh? When someone tells me a funny joke. I'm not just going to...
Do you get the sense that he cares about any of this?
No,
I don't think he cares about anything.
I don't think he cares about
he cares about horses.
What is patois?
Look it up.
How do you even spell patois?
Yes, I already knew you didn't know that one.
I thought it was patois, P-A-T-O-I-R. I Googled it, and it pulls up Urban Dictionary. A stupid Frenchman who is a Boy Scout and has sex with a moose.
What?
So how do you spell patois?
I know it's stupid. I don't care.
Like, come on.
And you know why there's pressure on you, pal? You know why there's pressure on you? Because you've never gotten out of the second round.
Welcome to the Daily Ding here on the Athletic NBA Show. Finals Game 3 is wrapped up. The Nuggets win 109-94. I'm Jared Weiss. I am joined by Mo Dakhil and Keith Parish. Andrew Schlecht is our producer. And Mo, we're going to start with you. Jokic made history.
I mean, that was just unbelievable. I was really hoping his stat line, when he hit the 40-minute mark, I wanted them to pull him. I wanted it to be 40 minutes, 30 points, 20 rebounds, 10 assists, and that just be the end of the cemetery. Just how good it would have looked and all of that stuff. But no, Jokic had to be selfish. Had to go for 32 points, 21 rebounds, and 10 assists and play 43 minutes. That was impressive. Just that performance right there. You know, and he did all of that on 21 shots. Like, I was really kind of just watching him going like, man, it looked easy at times.
Well, he posted this 30, 20, and 10 game. It's the first one ever in the finals. He now has just another kind of notch on the belt of unbelievable stats to look at. You jokingly said he was selfish. It was selfish. They left Jamal Murray at the end of the game. They'd benched Jokic, they'd cleared the benches, and then the final possession, Murray gets a triple-double. So now we have the first pair of teammates to ever record a triple-double in the same finals game. But this entire game was just Jokic domination. It's why he's won 2 MVPs. It's why a lot of people thought the Heat were going to have their hands full trying to stop them. But, like, to rebound after game 2 where the Heat threw some extra stuff at him, like, Jokic was up to the task. He was destroying a zone. He had help. I mean, he had guys cutting nonstop. I'm sure we'll talk about Christian Brown and his huge contribution this game. But, like, Jokic definitely captained this ship and helps the Nuggets get that 2-1 lead.
Yeah, it's a good point, Keith. And I haven't seen this anywhere official yet. I'm still looking to see if we can find it. But is that the first time we've had 2 players have 30-point triple-doubles in a playoff game and any game period? I mean, that was insane.
You would think so.
I mean, for sure in the finals, right? Like, I would imagine that would be the case.
Okay, ESPN just put it out. First time ever in a game ever.
Okay.
30-point triple-double.
I'm not surprised. That's very impressive for how they played. But I think just for any teammates to do that would be pretty nutso with what they did. But I think, honestly, though, like, the Nuggets just played a great second half. I think the way they came out in the second half was massively different and massively, like, just 180 from what Miami did. And I'm not trying to say like Miami gave up or anything. I just think Denver was the aggressor. They were much more physical. They really went after it. Defensively, I thought was probably one of their better games. It's only been 3 games in the finals, but it's been their best defensive half, I would say, in the finals.
Keith, the Nuggets outscored the Heat 60-34 in the paint. And it looked like the Heat couldn't get to the rim at all in the second half.
Yeah, that's funny. I was about to mention that points in the paint stat. Thanks for throwing it to me on that. I mean, that's a shocking number. It's one of those where I think, like, we know the Heat, they want to attack inside. You saw Jimmy Butler being very aggressive in this game. Bam, the entire series has been very aggressive offensively. But the formula seems to be that's the given. Those are the constants. Whatever else happens is kind of like the magic sauce that makes the win happen. If it's Max Strus showing up or Duncan Robinson showing up or Gabe Vincent having a big game, those guys did not have a big game. And yeah, it was hard driving inside the paint, but when those 3-point shots aren't going down, maybe it lets the Nuggets kind of adjust their defense. And like we said, they only allowed 46 points total in the second half. one of their better defensive efforts. And it was, maybe they just felt like they could, I don't know what'd you see, Mo, where I felt like they were double teaming and even triple teaming Jimmy Butler sometimes in the first half. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I would do that with the way that he'd have been shooting. But in the second half, that defense really turned up. Well, what did you see, Mo?
Well, I think they just kind of flew around a lot more around the court. Like they were just into him, into his body physically and aggressive with all of those things. I mean, to the point that like, look, Jimmy took 16 shots in the first half and only 8 in the second half, right? So they obviously cut that by half. Some of that might have been him also running out of gas a little bit and kind of having to battle these guys. But you got to understand here, and this is just going to be the theme throughout the entire series. The Nuggets are big.
Yes.
It's physical. They can dish it out just as much as the Heat in terms of the physicality and things like that. And I thought it was pretty impressive. I mean, you even had plays where Christian Brown was playing him pretty decently in that stuff, but it was all physical. A lot of the stuff Jimmy got, it was always through contact. There was nothing really easy, and I think that wore him down a ton. But this was the game about the others. If you look at the first half, Bam and Butler are going, Murray and Jokic are going. The third quarter, Aaron Gordon starts to go. Christian Brown starts to go. Michael Porter Jr., who everybody was so quick to shit on in about game 2. I thought this was one of his better halves effort-wise, defensively, flying around the court, making plays, hustling for rebounds and things like that. The ball wasn't going down, but he kept playing. This was a big one there too. So like he won't show up in the box score, but he had a big game there. I thought this was about the other guys, and you had alluded to it with the Heat. The other guys not making shots. The Denver guys stepped up.
Yeah, I think one thing notable about Michael Porter Jr., who still didn't make shots. He's having an atrocious offensive finals so far. But like you said, in that second half, his effort was there, and his size is just a thing. Even when the shots aren't going in, he's got size. And he fell asleep in the first half on a back cut that was very notable. Maybe lost a guy on the perimeter, but he was trying hard, given that full effort in the second half. And then talking about the others, the guys for like Miami, Gabe Vincent was amazing in games 1 and games 2. He maybe got the worst whistle I've ever seen in the first half. He got in foul trouble with 3 fouls.
I don't think
any of the 3 fouls he was called for were fouls.
No,
they were all play. They were all play-ons.
No,
they were all play-ons. Show me the tape, Mo.
Foul, I don't have to. That third foul was a fucking foul, man. It's bullshit to think it wasn't. He's literally runs right into Aaron Gordon chasing after the ball.
No. There's a pass that Nikola Jokic throws off of Aaron Gordon's back. That's a loose ball. Gabe Vincent does not have to get out of the way on a loose ball.
You're right, but Gabe Vincent can't run right into him. You can't do that.
Check your tape, Mo.
It's a foul, dog. It's a foul.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Anyways,
man. I'm not going to sit there and say that the 3 fouls weren't fouls.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. And I'm not going to put that on them. They played poorly. They played shitty. They were not up to snuff defensively with all that stuff. And look, the Nuggets didn't shoot well from 3, and the Heat lost. It's not really a big deal there.
The Nuggets didn't even shoot from 3.
That's the wild thing. The Nuggets made 5 3-pointers. They won this game comfortably with 5 made 3-pointers, which goes to that points in the paint thing, the massive games from Jokic and Murray. And then, I mean, I think we can emphasize Christian Brown again. We've said his name a couple times. He was unbelievable.
Ridiculous.
Like
Second
he
half
had
was
that
incredible.
stretch in game 2 where he had like 4 minutes where he kind of flipped the game, but then that was it. He had that stretched out over like 20 minutes where like everything he did, he was a zone buster as far as like back cuts, just slicing towards the basket. The effort, the energy, the defense, like the guy was unreal.
Keith, just so you know, the commenters are debating if you're a homer for the Miami Heat. So I guess that means you get to move to Miami now. Congratulations.
That's amazing because I'm a huge
humid.
Denver Nuggets fan. So yeah, that's
It's very humid down here.
That's great. God, there's so much to get into, but just quickly, Jimmy Butler, end of the game, he seemed like he was getting to most of the spots where he usually raises up and just would not take any of those shots. Kept passing out. He looked like he was limping at the very end. Keith, you just talked a ton, so I'll give it to Mo.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something wrong with Jimmy there at the end?
I mean, I thought there was something wrong with Jimmy and during the Boston series. Jared, you had a front row seat to him passing out of stuff. But I thought in the first half, what he was driving aggressively and getting to he wasn't finishing all that well, at least early in the first quarter. But like I thought, okay, well, this might be the Jimmy game that we've been waiting for with all of those things. And to be honest, like it was kind of A very quiet second half from him. He had a couple of drives along the baseline, kickouts to three. I think one to Kevin Love for sure off the top of my head. But I think there are just moments where he's just all of a sudden gets to his spot and doesn't shoot. And I think this is more just teams understanding also, like, we don't have to jump on the pump fakes.
That, and also I felt like Denver had a good balance of helping kind of underneath on him, so he couldn't get that look at the rim he wanted while still staying home to the shooter. So he didn't really have a great kick out option, and it just felt like Denver was able to get. They would have one kick out, and then they would drive at an angle where Miami's rotation was just not there, and they were able to get that look at the rim. While Denver just always, maybe it goes to that length, Keith, that they have across the board. Denver never really gave Miami comfortable outlets, so the ball always kind of lost some of its steam.
Well, I kind of feel like the way to go for the Denver defense is to, like, if you're going to lose, make it be Bam's 2-pointers, make it be Jimmy Butler's 2-pointers. Don't let those dudes go off. Don't let Gabe Vincent make 5 or Max Strus make 5 or Duncan Robinson make 5, whoever, like just let, if Bam and Jimmy shoot 45 times, that might be good for Denver. I mean, there's a lot of chagrin over were the Heat letting Jokic be a scorer last game. Like, maybe let Jimmy and Bam shoot all the shots they want, have those 2-pointers happen, and then hopefully the Nuggets think they can outperform that on their offensive end, and it'll be good enough that way. So, I mean, I don't know, but also, like, some of it goes back to, like, just superhuman performances for me, where I'm like,
right.
Well, I mean, if Jokic is going to do that, well, like, what are you going to do? Because it felt like watching this game, I think the Heat shot 39% in the first half, but it still felt like they were winning.
It was like a 5-point game or 6-point game.
Yeah, it was Nuggets were up by 4 or 5 or something, but it felt like the Heat were winning because the Nuggets were playing, like, terribly. They weren't making anything. The Heat were struggling, but then I guess they just hung around, and then when the Nuggets are able to come out in that second half, you have Jeff Green screaming at them all game. Apparently, Jeff Green took them all to dinner. Like the day before, it is home in Florida, trying to focus the team. Like, guys, we got to go. We're here. This is the NBA Finals. I mean, it wasn't enough for Bruce Brown to try a heave at the end of the third quarter. Who cares about your 3-point percentages, man? It's the NBA Finals. Trying to make a bucket. But, like, you had this second half effort where they just hung around enough, where you had Jamal Murray and Jokic with those huge first halves, and then the rest of the guys stepped it up. And by the way, Jamal and Nikola didn't go anywhere in the second half, and that's how you get this, whatever it ended up being, like a 60-point win.
The big difference in this game from game 2 was that they weren't standing around when the ball got to Jokic. There's a great play where KCP gets stuck with the ball, kicks it to Jokic, and then cuts right after making that pass, right? And a lot of stuff in game 2, I felt like, especially against the zone, was the ball would get to Jokic and everybody would just watch. These guys were moving. They were cutting underneath. They were making the back cuts, all sorts of stuff. I mean, that's where Christian Brown made a lot of his plays, off of just movement and things like that. I think that was the important thing for the Nuggets, was they got more movement off ball. And by doing that, that made everything else easier. That had Miami's defense scrambling. That had opened up opportunities for Jokic to score, for Murray to score, opened up opportunities for them to dime people out. Like, I think that's really the story of this game, is that their offense really started to cut and move much more than they did in game 2.
And one thing I noticed that I think, maybe it was just the movement. I also think it's possible the Nuggets figured out or worked on some more ways to find Jokic the ball in that zone, like not just at a high post at the free throw line. They were doing some stuff where he was like posting up the guards at the top of the zone so they could like lob it over his head. And that's just a new look where he can catch it there. And anytime Jokic gets the ball, he's going to be a threat, and that's the times he would hit, like Brown cutting towards the basket. So maybe give the credit to the Nuggets for finding different ways to attack that Miami zone.
And they also had Jokic posting up almost underneath the block down by the baseline, and then Denver would have either a cut from the weak elbow, or they'd have someone dive from the top. Like that was working. But I thought the game really broke open when that Miami zone was really impressive early fourth quarter. Then they had to start blitzing and got really aggressive blitzing up top. And Jokic and Murray just made so many just like passes from 30 feet out, just rifling it to a cutter who's diving right to the rim, setting up a layup. Like, these were just some passes that you shouldn't be able to make against the zone, Mo.
I mean, you give it to Jokic, one of the best passers in these instances. Like,
it's pretty decent.
You're in trouble. Like that's just that simple.
Also, I don't know if it's just, maybe we give Jokic too much credit for is the passing contagious? Like Aaron Gordon had some amazing passes in the zone as well, where he's attacking the basket. And then whenever a help defender comes, he knows where his offensive player, his teammate's going to be, and he fed him for easy buckets. It was very impressive.
All right. Reggie Jackson played tonight. That was weird. I forget he's on the Nuggets every single time.
Yeah. I don't think that
guys in this
happened by
game.
accident. I think Malone was looking for somebody else and just Reggie jumped in. I don't think that was a purposeful
KCP was
substitution.
so on fire with fouls from game 2, it carried over into game 3. So I think maybe the foul trouble, they're like, let's play Reggie Jackson for fun. See what he's got.
All right, guys. So game 4, hopefully the Heat will tie this up so we can keep doing these things over and over. But the Heat didn't turn the ball over. They only had 4 turnovers. There was good control in their offense, so Denver took away most of what they wanted. So Keith and then Mo, what do you see as the adjustment, or what do you see Miami trying to do to flip things next game besides not giving up 2 historic triple doubles?
Yeah, I think it's going to start on the defensive end and being disciplined. I mean, there were plays where they were overhelping. There was one play where Butler on a Christian Brown drive leaves Jokic to go to Brown along the baseline and gives up an easy bucket to Jokic. I think let's see if he could score over the other defense, the other defenders. And I'm going to stay with the 2-time MVP in this scenario. So I think that's kind of the things there. I think you got to start with the defensive end and the lockdown discipline wise of it. The big problem for Miami is only one day off in between. And I think they need the rest more than Denver does.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Kyle Lowry. He played well this game, but at the end of the game, he looked maybe a little banged up, and obviously he's one of the older players on the team. So I think, I don't know what Miami does. Maybe they pray to whatever God's been carrying them this far. They go back to that Heat culture voodoo and pull out another miracle win. I'm not saying I doubt it. I'm not even making fun of it. I fear it. I'm legitimately terrified of it. They've been so amazing this entire series, or this entire playoff run. I assume, Game 4, they're going to bounce back. You're going to see huge games from some of these guys. Not all the, as we call them, the others are going to be off in Game 4. I trust Jimmy and Bam to give you the same thing every time. So, yeah, I would say for the Heat, trust that culture, baby, and know that somebody, Max, Duncan, Caleb, is going to come out on fire to assist Jimmy and Bam.
Well, whatever happens in this series, we got ding culture right here. So we're going to wrap it up. This is the Daily Ding on the Athletic NBA show. I'm Jared Weiss. Mo Dakhil and Keith Parish joined me. Andrew Schlecht was our producer. We will be back for Game 4. It'll be me, Dave Dufour, and Keith. And then you'll have Mo for Game 5. And hopefully the series will keep going from there. So I'm Jared Weiss. We'll see you next time on The Ding.
Ding, ding.
Ding, ding.